Have you ever stopped to imagine Hollywood before censorship tightened its grip? Picture an era when movie screens were dominated by ruthless gangsters, corrupt cities, and reckless ambition, when crime wasn't simply condemned, but often glamorized. These films were daring, gritty, and pulse-pounding, and their impact still echoes through every gangster story told since. This was the age of pre-code Hollywood, a brief yet explosive moment when danger felt seductive, risks were enormous, and sometimes the villains stood victorious. Little Caesar marked a turning point in cinematic history. If you want to see how Hollywood first transformed real-world criminals into larger-than-life legends, this is where the journey begins. More than just an early black-and-white crime drama, it laid the foundation for the gangster archetype. Edward G. Robinson delivers a commanding performance as Rico Bondello, a small-time hoodlum with towering aspirations. The story follows his swift rise from minor stick-ups to commanding the criminal underworld. Yet the film does more than chronicle a criminal career. It grants Rico personality, magnetism, and a tragic aura. He is not a flat villain but a driven, resourceful figure fueled by relentless determination. The bleak world surrounding him is filled with desperation, yet the camera never looks away from his actions. It lingers as he plans robberies, engineers betrayals, and eliminates obstacles. The violence is swift and stark, but the film's true force lies in Robinson's presence. He makes Rico compelling even as paranoia consumes him. When his fate arrives, it comes not in chains but in gunfire, accompanied by the unforgettable plea, "Mother of mercy, is this the end of Rico?" Even before strict moral guidelines required crime to be punished unequivocally, this film ensured audiences experienced the rush before witnessing the collapse. It didn't merely portray crime, it elevated it into myth. The Public Enemy cemented the gangster as a cultural icon. James Cagney's portrayal of Tom Powers crackles with raw energy and dangerous charm. Set against the rough streets of Prohibition-era Chicago, the film follows Tom and his partner Matt as they graduate from petty theft to organized crime. What distinguishes the film is its unabashed embrace of the gangster lifestyle. Tom is bold, impulsive, and unapologetic. He indulges in excess, and the infamous grapefruit scene remains one of the era's most startling moments. Director William Wellman depicts violence with unflinching clarity, yet the world he presents carries undeniable excitement. Beneath the swagger lies tragedy. Tom's strained relationship with his family underscores the cost of his choices. He seems unable to escape the destructive cycle that fuels his success. The conclusion, one of classic cinema's most haunting endings, reminds viewers that glamour comes with consequences. Still, pre-code storytelling resisted tidy moral lessons. It invited audiences to experience the thrill and the danger without restraint, and this film delivers that experience at full throttle. Scarface pushed the boundaries even further. Directed by Howard Hawks and produced by Howard Hughes, it drew inspiration from the rise of Al Capone and amplified it into operatic intensity. Paul Muni portrays Tony Camonte, an ambitious and volatile figure who carves his path to dominance through sheer force. From the opening moments, the film signals its boldness. Machine guns thunder, the body count climbs, and Tony appears unstoppable. What makes the film extraordinary is its unapologetic depiction of excess. Lavish suits, fast cars, wild celebrations, and constant peril create an intoxicating atmosphere. The recurring X symbol, appearing whenever death looms, transforms violence into stylized imagery. Yet beneath the spectacle lies a story of obsession and inevitable ruin. Tony's hunger for power and his troubled personal relationships propel him towards self-destruction. The film does not preach, it observes with fascination. Though critics and censors protested and demanded alterations, audiences recognized its electrifying energy. It boldly suggests that the most captivating presence on screen might be the villain himself, and for its duration, that is undeniably true. The Doorway to Hell offered an earlier glimpse into the gangster mythos. Featuring Louis Woolheim as Louis Ricardo, the story charts a young criminal's ascent within Chicago's underworld. Unlike later entries, It devotes significant attention to his desire to abandon crime for a quieter life. Marriage and respectability beckon, yet the past refuses to release its grip. Betrayal and inevitability shadow his every step. The film is steeped in smoky nightclubs, tense confrontations, and sharp dialogue that would later define the genre. An early appearance by James Cagney adds additional spark. Crime is portrayed as both alluring and perilous, its glamour inseparable from looming downfall. Rather than feeling like a lecture, the story unfolds like a cautionary urban legend about ambition and consequence. Smart Money brought together Edward G. Robinson and James Cagney on the same screen. Robinson plays Nick, a small-town barber whose talent for gambling fuels dreams of metropolitan success. The narrative centers less on gunfire and more on calculated risk. Nick ascends through illegal betting circles with confidence and shrewd intelligence. Each triumph expands his empire, but also magnifies the stakes. Cagney's supporting performance adds tension and unpredictability. The film captures the thrill of wagering everything on a single turn of fortune. In this world, cleverness is king until luck shifts. The Big House shifted attention to prison life, presenting incarceration with rare intensity. Starring Chester Morris and Wallace Beery, it immerses viewers in a sprawling penitentiary charged with tension. The inmates are depicted with nuance and humanity, not as caricatures, but as individuals shaped by circumstance. The prison itself becomes a looming presence, its corridors echoing with unease. As conflict builds toward a dramatic riot, the film suggests that the line between criminal and victim is not always clear. At a time when films were expected to reinforce authority, this portrayal felt daring and unvarnished. Quick Millions places ambition at its center. Spencer Tracy's Bugs Raymond rises from truck driver to racketeer, building a protection empire through intimidation and strategy. The film intriguingly frames crime as a twisted version of entrepreneurship. Bugs operates with business acumen as much as brutality. Surrounded by corrupt officials and unreliable allies, he climbs higher while trust becomes increasingly scarce. The story acknowledges both the appeal and the peril of such ambition. City Streets blends romance with criminal intrigue. Gary Cooper portrays a man drawn into bootlegging through love, while Sylvia Sidney's character stands at the crossroads of loyalty and danger. Director Ruben Mamoulian infuses the narrative with striking visual style, using shadow and light to heighten emotion. The film explores the tension between aspiration and temptation, revealing how easily devotion can pull someone into peril. Violence and betrayal intensify the romance rather than. Clint Eastwood, John Wayne meeting, Western movie legends, Hollywood Western history, classic Western films, John Wayne film set, Clint Eastwood Western movies, Hollywood behind the scenes, Western cinema rivalry, movie set stories, classic Hollywood actors, Western film history, Hollywood legends story, famous actor encounters. The Finger Points takes a different path into the crime world by centering on the journalists who report on it. Richard Barthelmess plays Breenidge Lee, an ambitious young reporter who soon finds himself entangled with the city's most powerful criminals. The film unfolds as a warning about how easily integrity can erode when faced with quick money and access to influence. What makes it distinctive is its focus on the fragile boundary between witnessing crime and becoming part of it. Breenidge begins with idealism, but proximity to power proves intoxicating. As he sinks deeper into the mob's influence, the stakes escalate and the danger becomes immediate. Packed with crisp dialogue and tense newsroom confrontations, the story explores ambition, compromise, and the cost attached to success. It reminds viewers that in the pre-code era, even those meant to uphold truth could be tempted by the underworld's pull. Night Nurse appears at first glance to be a straightforward hospital drama, yet beneath the surface it is a hard-edged crime story. Barbara Stanwyck stars as Laura Hart, a determined nurse who uncovers corruption and violence within the wealthy household she serves. In one of his early roles, Clark Gable portrays a menacing chauffeur willing to protect the family's secrets at any cost. The film stands out for exposing decay beneath polished appearances. The hospital setting becomes a reflection of the wider city, morally complex and fraught with hidden danger. Laura is resilient and fearless, challenging powerful figures in a way that felt bold for its time. Blending suspense with social critique, the story examines privilege, injustice, and survival. It proves that during the pre-code period, even narratives set far from back alleys could be just as intense and rebellious. Three on a Match follows three women whose lives intersect in dramatic and perilous ways. Featuring Joan Blondell, Anne Dvorak, and Bette Davis, the film combines emotional drama with gangster intrigue, particularly through a kidnapping scheme that drags one character into the criminal world. Known for its rapid pacing and willingness to address controversial themes, the movie treats crime not as background, but as a force shaping destiny. Humphrey Bogart, in an early appearance, delivers a glimpse of the hardened persona that would later define his career. The story portrays the underworld as both enticing and destructive, a realm of quick fortunes and forbidden excitement that demands a heavy price. The nuance and moral ambiguity allowed by the pre-code era give the narrative a layered quality that would soon become restricted. The Beast of the City was conceived as a warning, yet it became one of the most explosive crime films of its time. Walter Houston portrays a relentless police captain determined to dismantle a powerful syndicate, while Jean Harlow intensifies the drama with her presence. The film pulses with shootouts, pursuits, and daring operations, delivering spectacle with relentless momentum. Though it gestures toward a moral conclusion, it cannot resist showcasing the thrill of confrontation. Law enforcement and criminals mirror each other in determination and brutality, blurring distinctions between hero and adversary. The pace is unyielding, reflecting the era's fascination with danger and action. I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang tells the harrowing story of a man trapped by injustice. Paul Muni plays James Allen, a war veteran whose struggle with poverty leads to imprisonment on a brutal chain gang. The film confronts the cruelty of the penal system with stark realism. Allen is portrayed not as a villain, but as someone crushed by circumstance. His escape and desperate search for freedom place him outside the law, yet the audience cannot help but sympathize. The social commentary was daring, suggesting that corruption might reside within institutions rather than solely among criminals. In pre-code Hollywood, such a perspective felt groundbreaking and deeply provocative. Law and Order may wear the trappings of a Western, but its themes echo the gangster genre's moral complexity. Walter Houston plays Frame Johnson, a lawman attempting to restore order in Tombstone, where justice carries a deadly toll. Violence is depicted bluntly, and the film resists drawing easy distinctions between right and wrong. Characters operate within cycles of vengeance and power. Its stark visuals and fatalistic tone make it feel closer to urban crime drama than traditional frontier fare. While celebrating the legend of the gunfighter, it also questions the true cost of heroism. The mouthpiece transforms the courtroom into a battleground of intellect and ethics. Warren Williams stars as Vince Day, a former prosecutor who, after a moral reckoning, becomes a defense attorney for notorious criminals. The narrative thrives on ambiguity. Day is charismatic and cunning, bending rules with confidence and flair. The film revels in his sharp arguments and strategic maneuvering, portraying the legal system as another arena where power can be manipulated. As his influence grows, so do the rewards of operating in gray territory. Quick-witted and fast-moving, the film exemplifies the era's appetite for morally complex protagonists. Together, these 15 films capture a unique chapter in cinema history, an era when Hollywood did not merely hint at danger, but embraced it outright. The pre-code period burned intensely and briefly, reshaping storytelling by exploring crime, ambition, rebellion, and moral uncertainty with striking boldness. It demonstrated that even in the shadowed corners of the city, powerful narratives could flourish. If you enjoyed this exploration of classic crime and cinematic daring, be sure to like, share your thoughts, and subscribe for more deep dives into film history. Until next time, keep watching the screen, and remember, in Hollywood's world of light and shadow, someone is always observing.